Friends, I'm a little upset. I'm upset. I'm concerned. I'm frustrated.
This nonsense is coming from my own people in my church that have been under my teaching for years. They're questioning, like I said, the Holocaust numbers. The fight is coming to every believer's front door. It's not that they can say, well, Olivier will fight it. It's coming to them.
That's right.
This fight's not going away. We're going to have to, we're going to be in, it's a fight for the truth. We're going to have to be equipped, and that's the call of the day. Get equipped.
Hey, shalom, everybody. I have a special program today. It might be a little shorter than usual, but friends, I'm a little upset. I'm upset. I'm concerned. I'm frustrated, and I didn't want to do this alone. So I brought a good friend of mine who's also upset and frustrated and concerned, and we want to share that with you because we need your prayers. This is important, and we need to press on, move forward, but this is something that we need to discuss with you. So again, you know where to sign up, you know how to connect with our ministry, shalomandmessiah.com. You can find us, Olivier Melnick or Shalom and Messiah, on all the different networks, wherever there is social media, we're there. And but there's something going on right now that is extremely concerning, and so I thought I would bring my good friend Brendan Holthaus, Pastor Brendan Holthaus, to the show. Brendan, good to see you. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Thanks for bringing me on the show. Good to be with you, man.
Yes, and so I, you and I always we get together, and then we're frustrated because we are we fight the battle, we fight the fight. We're always in the front lines. We try to be in the front lines. We try to let people know what's going on and equip the body of Messiah, the Remnant Church, as you call them, with the truth and how to debunk the lies. And you and I had a conversation a couple of days ago, and on the phone, and I could hear it in you. My phone was trembling. I was talking to you. I could hear it in your voice that you were so frustrated and so disappointed and so upset. So I want to pull I have a little on my screen here. I want to make sure. Okay. So what happened is that, and we don't necessarily need to name names or anything at this point, but you got people that got you that kind of challenged you with the idea that the Holocaust, the numbers in the Holocaust were probably inflated for whatever reason, propaganda, whatever reason, they were grossly inflated, not 6 million, but a lot less. Yeah. And but what really was troubling is that these were not people that you met on the campus of Columbia University that were yelling from the river to the sea, right. Palestine shall be free. You did not meet them at a pro-Palestinian rally. You did not meet them in the disputed territories during one of our visits in Israel. Where are these people from?
The unfortunate thing, Olivier, that I've been witnessing for the last 6 months, I would say, is this nonsense is coming from my own people in my church that have been under my teaching for years. And it's not like I haven't beat the drum about what's going on in the world about Israel and the conspiracies and whatnot. So what's happening is you got people on the internet, YouTube, social media, putting out really blood libels about the Jewish people, conspiracy theories about the Jewish people, and my own people are getting caught up in some of this, and they're questioning now our support for Israel. They're questioning, like I said, the Holocaust numbers. They're questioning, like, well, the Mossad was tapped into Jeffrey Epstein, and he was part of the Israeli Mossad, and then it was the Mossad that killed Charlie Kirk because the speaker on him was really a beeper that Israel used against Hezbollah, and it blew
Oh,
Charlie.
and the Mossad is behind Venezuela too.
And yes, and the Zionists and Mossad is behind Venezuela as well because they just want land and oil. It's just, and so this is happening to my own people, and the problem is that I think what I'm realizing is our own people sitting in a remnant church that's very pro-Israel. You're not going to get more pro-Israel than Rock Harbor. And
Correct.
they're not ingesting it. They're not metabolizing what I am saying. It's going in one ear and out the other, because if you really believe the scriptures, and that's our foundation, the grounding for everything, then you wouldn't be swayed by some idiot like Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson making up a bunch of lies, or some idiot saying, yeah, the Holocaust was overblown, the numbers were overinflated, and here's the proof. You wouldn't be swayed by that, but yet it's happening.
I mean, I've spoken at your church many times, and I'll come and speak on anti-Semitism, and I look at your flock, and I look at them, and I say, now this is what some people within the church, and I'll pause, I'll stop myself, I'll say, now of course not you, because your pastor teaches you properly. Well,
Yeah.
so what is it saying about the fate of the remnant church? I mean, we already knew when we got started a few years ago, when we really pushed for this idea that there was like a reduced, a dwindling down of the true Bible believing dispensationalist, Israel loving, Bible reading Christians. The number is reducing, but now within that number we even have people that are not getting it, and how could you possibly even change that? I know how you teach, I know what you teach from the Bible, I know how you do it, and if your people are not getting it, Brendan, I have no advice for you on how to fix that.
I don't have a solution for that either, because it's not like I can tell myself, hey, you need to teach more on Israel and get these people trained on it. It's not like that. So the fault is on the audience, and this is where you have James saying you got to be not only hearers of the word but doers of the word. And I call it metabolizing the scriptures, because Jesus said, eat my body, eat my flesh, and drink my blood. And what he was trying to say is metabolize what I'm saying and make it part of you. And what I've noticed is if people are sitting in the audience, and they may like what I'm saying, but if they don't metabolize it and make it a part of them and own the scriptures, whether it's Israel or whatever the issue is, gay marriage, whatever, if they're not owning it, then they can be deceived quickly by every wind and wave that tosses them to and fro, because they're not grounded. And I'm not talking about unbelievers. I'm talking about believers. These people are believers. Don't doubt that. It's the fact that they haven't made it theirs. It's not a belief system inside of them. It's something that I've told Tom Hughes about this. For a long time, the remnant has punted to people like you, myself, Tom, whoever, to the leaders of the remnant, and saying, you guys go fight that battle. You fight the battle against anti-Semitism. You guys fight the battle. And, Olivier will do a good job at that. But here's the problem. With modern technology and social media, the fight is coming to every believer's front door. It's not that they can say, well, Olivier will fight it. It's coming to them.
That's right.
And and how is it coming to them? It's not someone knocking on the door. It's them on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, any social media. That's where it's coming, and they don't know how to answer it. And so it tells me that we have done our job equipping, but they have not taken it in and equipped themselves. And so it's on them. But here's the problem. Then they want to make it my problem. And when someone comes and says, the numbers of the Holocaust are overinflated, and I'm like, I have been studying Israel for 30 years. I've been in ministry for 25 years. I already know the answer to this. That's a lie.
That is.
And the fact that you believe that shows me that you have not done your research on the state of Israel and the reality of Israel, and you haven't done your homework historically on the Holocaust. You and I talked about this off air. Yad Vashem has the names, and they have
I
80%
think it's
of
four.
them.
I think they have 4.8 million names as of right now, something like that.
Yes. So here's the background on, for instance, answering this false claim that the Holocaust, because Candace Owens said that 2 years ago, so that was out there. Here's the thing. All European countries compiled lists, and that's where we got a lot of the lists, and they were all put together. It was planned and organized, and there were multiple sources of documentation of the numbers coming from European countries. And so the National World War II Museum explains
This
that.
is the list of the Jews of France. I have it. It was published in 1970. This is how I find out my grandfather was killed in Auschwitz.
There
So
you go.
you're right. Every country. I'm from France. I have the French one. 80,000 names in this.
That's right. And there were multiple countries, Germany, Poland. Yeah, yes, they'll say, well, a lot of the Nazis didn't keep a list or they lost them. Yeah, but we have all these other lists from different countries. And then when you compile them together, and these are coming from multiple sources, different countries, this is where we end up with an estimate of 6 million Jewish people got killed in the Holocaust. And so it's not a slogan. No. This is an estimate based on multiple attestations. So when anyone comes and says, well, it wasn't 6 million, it was probably 100,000 to 200,000, it's like, oh, no, you can't say that, because just from one country alone, like you say, France, it has the way beyond those numbers.
And by the way, those lists are very often compiled by comparing the records from the Germans.
Absolutely. And so, and then the other attestation to this is when you look at Europeans' pre-war Jewish population compared to afterwards, it drops 6 million. When you compare pre-war communities, which we knew, to post-war survivors. So that's another attestation.
Or it dropped 6 million Jews, but it dropped more than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, I mean, the Holocaust, if you want to put the whole thing together, the Holocaust was about 12 million.
Yes.
If you add the gypsies and all the minority groups, and, the Jews were definitely the largest number, like 50% of all death in the Holocaust were the Jews, 1.5 million just children. But you got 12 million dip in population. You're right.
Well, and on top of this too, yeah, the Germans didn't have a master list, but we have stories, we have paperwork, transport records, we have police reports, SS correspondence, statistical summaries, all coming from German documents that was compiled, and it was published at Nuremberg to record this, and it's not going to be erased. This is just facts. And so when Candace Owens or anyone believes her junk of saying, oh, this is misreported, it's overinflated, and this was a Zionist conspiracy to get sympathy, yada, yada, yada. It's like, dude, you're going against facts and evidence. Here's my thing, though, and you tell me if I'm on the wrong track. I think this fits people's paradigm of Gentile jealousy of Jewish people.
100,
and when they hear a conspiracy theory like this, it says, aha, I finally got what I want. Now I can really go against the Jews and say, aha, I have this, and it's a total lie. What do you think? I don't know.
It's hard for me. It's a lot easier for a man like you, a Gentile who loves Israel, who understands the Bible and God's plan for the Jewish people. It's a lot easier for you to make a statement, for me to agree with you, than for me to make it, because I'm Jewish. And being Jewish, it's going to sound like I'm kind of cocky, like, oh yeah, we're the chosen people. Well, we happen to be the chosen people. Or we're the apple of God's eye. Well, Zechariah 2:8, we happen to be the apples of God's eye. So, we are. Those are the names that the Bible calls us. And so we are not saved just because we're Jews, but we are the Jewish people throughout history. We've always been an instrument by which God has showed His grace, His mercy, His compassion, His faithfulness to the world.
Yeah.
And we make people jealous. On top of that, it's documented, and I have a lot of information on that, and I've taught on that, that we have contributed not to take over the world, but to make over the world, to make it a better place through this Jewish concept known as tikkun olam, the repairing of the world. It's in our DNA as Jews. We want to contribute. We want to make the world a better place. Why do you think? I mean, you look at the world today. Drip irrigation is all over the planet, a Jewish invention. We could have kept it to ourselves. As just for Israel, we need the drip irrigation because it's the desert. The other countries can figure out that. No, we want to help. We want to make it a better place, a better planet. Now, it's not going to be better until Yeshua, Jesus, the Messiah, returns and everything changes and it's good again. We know that. But from a human standpoint, the Jews have contributed and continue to contribute to the world it's disproportional to the number of Jews. A few years ago, Joe Rogan was asked, how many Jews do you think there are? And his first response was 1 billion. And then he said, well, maybe 500 million. I have the video. I'm going like, no, seriously? And,
Wow.
And today there's only 16 million of us. So yes, there is this jealousy from the Gentile, from the Christian, and I don't know how to fix that.
I don't know how to fix it either, because if people want to even make the accusation to me saying, well, how do you know these people's motivations? I don't have to know. All I have to do is read Romans 11, and Paul tells me what the motivations are. And he goes, if you're going to boast against the branch that was broken off, he goes, you can just be broken off just as well. And so what's happening is he was making a principal point about Gentile jealousy of boasting over the Jewish people. And so I'm going back to Romans 11 about that. That's where I'm getting that from. Because,
Right.
Olivier, I don't have any other thing to fall back on biblically to explain why somebody knows Scripture or supposedly knows Scripture and decides to believe a conspiracy theory, a blood libel, or whatever, just because some stupid talking head on YouTube said it.
That's right.
And there's no explanation. Why would they not say, wait a second, you can't just say that. You have to present the evidence for that.
But what I don't understand, Brendan, is what is in it for them, the people at your congregation that say, well, maybe the Holocaust was inflated. How does it change the narrative? How does it change the place of Israel in God's plan? Does it matter to you that much that maybe it's not 6 million, maybe it's 500,000? Why?
Well, you and I talked about this, and I think you and I came up with the concept of, I think there's an element that people, even in our church, they see Israel, the political entity, and they separate that from biblical Israel.
Yes.
Like from Moses and Daniel and Paul, and they're saying, okay, those are good Jewish people, and Netanyahu and those guys are evil people. And it's like, wait a second, those are the same descendants that are sitting there in Israel today.
You're absolutely right. Unfortunately, and I've seen this not just in the last 5 to 10 years with the current events, but I've seen this for I've been in Jewish ministry for 35 years now, and I've seen this happen where pastors after pastors after pastor would go to Israel, take their church there, and they go to the synagogue in Capernaum. This is where Jesus walked. They go to the southern step. This is where Jesus walked. On the Sea of Galilee. This is on, he walked on the water. And they make the Bible connections, but then they have no desire, no attraction to, hey, let's take a minute and maybe have a conversation with an Israeli at a cafe and see if they have any spiritual questions or any questions. Let's see if we can get them saved. There's a complete disconnect.
Yes, totally. And then the concept, which is debunked, well, it's the Zionist movement that's doing this. And to the point that, this whole pro-Israel movement was created by the Zionists to get these evangelicals to support them. And I've talked about that. Wait a second, man. if the Jews control the world, they're not doing a good job
That's right.
at all.
Yeah, yeah. If we control the world, we're not doing a good job
You're
because
not doing a
everybody
good
hates
job.
us.
And if they control the media, they're definitely not doing a good job of controlling the media because everything is anti-Israel. Eh, That's the thing, Olivier. When you look at the evidence, whether it's the media or really who's controlling the world, that doesn't seem to compute. And that's why I have to punt to, well, then it's got to be a spiritual component into this.
This is why years ago I had to add my the two words in my definition of anti-Semitism that I use all the time, not irrational and satanic.
Yes, there you go. There you go.
Irrational and satanic, because you
Yes.
can. And by the way, you mentioned Romans 11. Just to remind, as if some people are watching us and they're going like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I don't agree with those two guys." I mean, and there is some jealousy. I mean, look at Romans 11:11. I say then, did they stumble as to fall? They being us, the Jewish people.
Right.
May it never be, but by their transgression, salvation has come to the Gentiles to become jealous of them. No, that's not what it says. To make them jealous. The Gentiles are supposed to go to the Jews, go to Israel, and say, hey, we have a relationship with your Jewish Messiah, and we have salvation because of your Jewish Messiah. And that's how a Gentile Christian is supposed to make a Jew who's not a believer in Jesus jealous of what they have. They're basically, and the word jealous is in the context is jealous for something that belongs to them but has been given to somebody else. That's
Yes,
the
right.
meaning in the Greek.
Yes.
And so
Good point.
and so like, wait a minute, he's my Messiah. And so this is very frustrating. This is very frustrating. And do you see it? I mean, one of the questions I had was, is the remnant, even the remnant church, falling apart? Is there time for a reversal? I mean, what do we do about it?
I think what my takeaway is this is I call it the great revealing, and I believe with other issues the issue of Israel is a true north position.
Yeah.
And theologically, because man, if I know where you're at on Israel, I can pretty much tell you where you're going to be on ecclesiology, eschatology, and I can pretty much figure out what your hermeneutic is based on your view of Israel.
That's the litmus test.
Right?
Yes.
And I think that's a big deal because it tells me a lot about your interpretation if you're going to allegorize things. And so I think God is revealing this. This is a test to show the remnant really who is in the trenches with you. Now, look, I'm making this statement. I'm not saying these people that have in my own church are unbelievers. I'm not saying that.
No.
But
No.
what I am saying is they're not at the level of maturity that they need to be because they haven't done their discipleship. And so what I see is there's a remnant within a remnant. There's a remnant of core people that have internalized the doctrine, and it's them. Here's the key for people listening. When you metabolize or internalize a doctrine, it becomes part of your identity. That's your identity in Christ. And therefore, when it's your identity, you're going to defend it. You're going to hold to it. But when it's not your identity, you can get blown away. So it doesn't even have to be the Israel issue.
No.
It could be homosexuality. For example, I see a lot of parents that have adult children now that are Christian. They say they were against homosexuality and they say it's wrong and these people need to get help through Jesus. But then once their family members, one of their adult children becomes a homosexual or a lesbian, they're like, yeah,
There's a shift.
It's a shift. A shift happens theologically, and they're like, yeah, God's good with it. It's all right, man. I was wrong. And it's like, whoa, what happened? Well, they had never internalized the doctrine of, marriage or whatever, sex or whatever. And it's the same thing I'm seeing with Israel. It's not a part of them. It's out there, and they say they believe it. But here's the thing: it's when the pressure gets put on. And it's like the soils illustration he gave.
Right.
Those who don't have deep roots, when the sun comes out, it scorches them and they can't take the heat. And that's what I'm starting to see. The heat's getting put on Israel. And even in our church, people are succumbing to the pressure from the Candace Owens types or whatever, the Nick Fuentes types or whatever, and they're believing that nonsense.
Now, do you think, I was speaking at our friend's church, David Bowen in Arizona, like a little
Hmm.
while ago, and I was talking about all the reasons why I think that we have actually surpassed a repeat of the 30s and the 40s. And one of them, and I jokingly, when I introduced one of the 5 points, I said, now, this is not going to be a good commercial for me to recruit you to help Israel. But the reality is, as of right now, 2026, anti Semitism can and will affect Jews and those who support Israel. In other words, you do not have to be Jewish anymore to suffer from anti-Semitism. If you wear a T-shirt with the flag of Israel, if you go to a pro-Israel rally, if you read a book that has something to do with Zionism, and you can suffer from anti-Semitic attacks, and they can be violent. And do you think that maybe some of that the questions are being asked, and the backing away from really getting skin in the game is because some Christians might be too scared and too afraid of getting involved, because they know that if they get involved in supporting Israel in a tangible way, it's risky.
Totally. I can give you real world examples. So we made signs. This is after October 7th in 2023. We made signs. We support Israel. Rock Harbor supports Israel when that happened, and we gave people the signs to put out. A lot of people came back to me and said they refused to put the sign up because they were afraid they were going to get attacked or something done to their cars or their houses for putting a pro-Israel sign in front of their house. So already, this is my people telling me this, that they didn't want to do that because it would bring heat on them. And then, of course, our church's sign has been vandalized twice now. The first one, it definitely pro-Palestinian,
That's
all
when I
that
was
junk.
there a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And now we're not sure, but maybe it is. But our marquee is a digital sign, and it says we support Israel. Well, Thanksgiving night, some guy, bald-headed guy, probably in about 35, looked like, I don't know, came and battered it in and crushed it with a 2x4. And then his little buddies picked him up in a car or a truck, and they
Do you
took
have
him
a
away.
camera? Do you have a camera on your marquee?
Yeah, we do,
Okay.
but
I was gonna say
we're
put a camera, so that you did that.
we're
Good.
yeah, so that's how I knew. The camera picked him up, but yeah, he was shoving a 2x4 right into our sign, and of course, our sign says we support Israel. Again, he maybe he did it because we're against homosexuality or transgender. I don't know, but I do know this: when you put these I have Israeli flags flying when people enter into the campus, and then you can see the flag inside as well. I've had people come up to me at the pastor's reception saying, "Hey, I don't understand why you support a terrorist organization." I said, "What are you talking about?" They go, "Israel." And they go, "Israel's just like Hamas and Hezbollah, aren't they? It's a terrorist state." I said, "No, it's not. It's not a terrorist state. It's a nation trying to defend itself." But you get stuff like that, and it's just like, whoa. And then I got another guy, a punk, I would call him, another young punk that comes in here, and they like to do this the first time they show up. It's not like, "Hey, nice to meet you." The punk comes in, and he says, "Well, you guys can get too far on this pro-Israel Zionism thing. These are enemies of Christ, and they don't even believe in him, and Paul says they're enemies for your sake." And I'm like, "Hey, dude," I said, "are you replacement theology?" He goes, "Well, I don't like to call it that. I call it, fulfillment theology," or whatever term he used.
Right, right,
And
right.
I said, "Thank you very much, but goodbye." He's a little punk, 20-year-old something punk that thinks he knows it all.
I would have
And,
even asked him at first. I says, are you a believer? And if he says yes, I said, were you an enemy of Christ before you got saved?
I
Did
know
we turn you away?
that goes through all evangelism.
All of us,
Right.
everybody.
That's the narrow focus. And this guy thought he had figured it out. He's replacement theology. And here's the thing: he didn't come listen to a message. He came to challenge me.
Right.
And that's again real world examples of this junk that's been happening all fall. Really, for us, it's ramped up. And you know what? It's ramped up because of Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, and the woke right putting this into Christians' heads, because Christians, most part, they're not going to listen to AOC. They're not going to listen to Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib. They already know to stay away from them.
Right.
But here's the problem: the woke right starts going anti-Semitic, then they think, oh yeah, maybe I need to question, why are we fighting all these wars for Israel and yada yada yada. Oh,
Yeah, it's the anti-Semitism right now that comes from the conservatives
yes,
that is becoming dangerous, because uh, people that have a conservative worldview, I fear, are willing to look the other way when it comes to anti-Semitism, as long as they can still baby their connection with a conservative that's pro-life, anti-LGBTQ, and all those things that we stand for. And it's like, you know what? I like what he or she stands for. They're not necessarily friends of Israel, but you know what? It's not really my thing. I don't know anybody Jewish. I'm not Jewish. I don't care.
right.
And there's a little bit of that too, I'm afraid.
Yeah, exactly. And
So,
that
and that, yeah,
dismissive attitudes, it causes problems. We're on a foreign policy issue. If we continue to go into this conservative isolationism, Olivier, I see that from the Bible's perspective, where the passage very well, Zechariah chapter 12, verse 3, where all nations will come against her. If this woke right isolationism of what they call America first, which is not really America first, it's America in isolation and not having any allies whatsoever.
right.
If that continues, that's where you can see America turning its back in the future on Israel. No doubt about that. That's the attitude right there.
Right, right, and right now we have a somewhat friendly administration, and
Right.
who knows who's going to come next, and I say somewhat friendly because I think that even our current administration is, President Trump is more interested in making deals. I don't think he is. He is too much of a Christian Zionist or dispensationalist, and he
No.
probably doesn't even know what it is. But good for Israel right now. He's friendly,
Yeah.
and we'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, in comparison to Joe Biden, oh, yes, of course. There's,
right,
but
exactly.
I'm concerned. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You're concerned.
I'm just concerned about the future of America because of this mentality that Tucker and Candace and a lot of the woke right. It's not just them. It's Jack Probisek and a lot of these well-known guys saying we don't want any more forever wars in the Middle East. Well, let me add something too. As I was talking to our mutual friend Yoram Ettinger, and I interviewed him on my show, and Yoram made a good point. He said, "Look, just take the religion out of it as far as being pro-Israel, as far as the Bible is concerned. Okay, don't use Genesis 12:3 right now. Just look at Israel for national security reasons. Having Israel in the Middle East among all those barbarian Muslim nations is like having a U.S. aircraft carrier permanently in the Middle East to keep the lid on these crazy Muslim jihadists."
That sounds something like he could. That I can hear him say that.
Right. And I'm like, that's beautiful.
That is.
Exactly. I don't need to make a religious argument for Israel. I can just make a strategic national security issue for Israel.
And that's important, because we talk to so many people that are not interested in anything biblical or religious. So that's a very good point. I got to remember that one. That's very good.
Yeah, that's
very
Yoram.
good.
He's great.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Yoram is wonderful. We're running out of time, so I want to wrap this up. But Brendan, you and Tom and I, we're gonna keep pushing.
Yeah, we
We're
are.
going to keep pushing. We're going to keep preaching the truth. We are not interested in making people like us. I mean, I like friends, I like people, of course, but we want to make sure that being politically correct is not at all interesting to us. We want to be biblically correct, and to be biblically correct is to understand the place of Israel in God's program.
Amen.
And
Amen.
you do, Tom does, I do. Now, I want to finish with this. As you're watching this, I joke at this. I stole this, I think, from Andy Woods, who I think stole it from Tommy Ice when he heard, "I don't have one problem that the rapture wouldn't solve."
That's good. That's
So
good. I like
any
that.
problem we have, anything we've discussed, it would all be solved by the rapture. Friends, if you're watching right now, you're listening to Pastor Brendan, listening to me, and you're going, well, this is great, talking about Israel and this and that. I'm not sure I agree. But the one thing that you need to consider above and beyond numbers of death in the Holocaust and genocide in the Middle East and all those lies that can be debunked by just looking at the fact and doing a little study, and you figure out that those are all lies to demonize Israel. The one thing that's more important than anything else is your personal relationship with the Jewish Messiah, Yeshua of Nazareth, Jesus. If you right now are not connected to him, if you're not in the family of God, all you have to do is believe that he came in the flesh, God in the flesh. He came and he died for the sins of the world, the Jews and the Gentiles. He died for all. And he rose again. That's the best part of the story. He rose again and he ascended, and he's going to return to get the believers, to get us. And that's coming, I think, sooner than we think. So friends, don't wait. If you're not a believer yet, today is your day. Just invite Yeshua in your heart. Just ask him to become your savior. This is the day you need to do it. Do not wait anymore. Brendan, final thought, final word?
You know what? This fight's not going away. We're gonna have to. We're gonna be in. It's a fight for the truth. That's what it is. And so we're gonna have to fight the good fight. We can't be silent. I encourage everybody, respectfully but talk to people and correct them. You're gonna have to correct this. You're gonna have to know your own stuff. Know Israelology. Know how to defend it. And know how to go against the lies that are coming out. You're going to have to be equipped, and that's the call of the day. Get equipped.
Absolutely. Now, if people want to get equipped through your teaching, where do they find you?
Just go to BrandonHolthausMinistry.com or .org, one of the two. I can't remember. Or then you can go to rockharborchurch.net. I'm on both there, and you can get all the information there, man.
Okay, I'll put that in the description. Thanks for joining me today. Again, Happy New Year, and I know we'll see each other soon. Friends, thanks for watching. Shalom, and be blessed.